located in Chandigarh, Chennai, Bhopal, and Kolkata, came forward and created 8 modules. Each module is of 30 to 40 hours, and one can do this by staying at home, by being in their respective colleges, and therefore one need not physically go to do this course. And this is a learning way. And if teachers start doing this, naturally they will understand how to deal with students in a similar manner later.
Right, sir. Now, over the years, I've also very carefully noticed, I have 2 daughters myself, and I've seen how the curriculum has changed over the years and how a lot of initiative, a lot of emphasis is now being given beyond the physics, chemistry, maths, trying to look at engagement opportunities, job opportunities beyond the engineer and the doctor, as well as the architects. Uh, Things like law, arts, and other kind of applied sciences have been given a lot of importance right now, which is really very welcome and I think very futuristic. And I applaud you and the entire fraternity for doing that. But now we're going to be into a very suddenly very different world. I often say that we had in realms of history we had the BC and the AD. I mean, I believe that we're going to have 2 different worlds. One is the PCV one and the PCV two. PCV one is pre-coronavirus, and PCV two is going to be post-coronavirus. In an environment like that, we've got to be very quickly and efficiently be aware of what could possibly hit us. So, pragmatically and of course creatively, we've got to extend this study of change beyond just the law and the arts and the applied sciences, and to look at perhaps things like artificial intelligence, which you are doing, I'm sure, as well as sustainability, as well as connectivity. How is the world going to change? Perhaps that lessons on that are very critical right now because everybody is grappling with a very unique situation.
I'm sure whatever we are doing right now is because of the crisis which has arisen. But let me reflect back that even without this, this was the need of the hour. And therefore, all the transformations that AICT started doing about 2.5, 3 years ago were in the similar direction, creating environment where teachers and students will engage with each other in the modern new world. You may call it as post-corona world, but it is not necessarily post-corona world. It was the need of the hour because the way students were engaging in the classroom by the teachers is going to be drastically changing. And that is why when the curriculum was revised, number of credits were reduced from about 180 to 200 credits down to 160 credits, giving more and more importance to students learning outside the classrooms, experiential learning, internship based learning, project based learning. I think these are the tools which were already introduced. And today we may realize that whatever was done is in the right direction. Secondly, training of the teachers in the new ways of teaching learning processes, which I just now narrated about 8 module program. Faculty development programs in the areas such as artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, machine learning, robotics, 3D printing. These are all going to be the future technologies which every student is going to grapple with. And students need to be taught in the classrooms and engage them in the classroom. And therefore, teacher has to be one step ahead. So they need to know first and also learn on their own many things and then come to the class prepared for maybe what is known as blended classroom, flipped classroom. Even the evaluation of students is going to change completely. It is not the same 3 hour question paper where students are asked to memorize something and come and write it and then forget about it. So today students need to understand why something is being learned, where is it going to be applied, how you can be innovative in finding solutions to the problems that the society is facing, the industry is facing. I think the question papers have to be revolving around such issues. And therefore, our preparation had begun much before this coronavirus outbreak. And we would like to continue to engage with faculty members and students in all these aspects.
All right. Now, a quick question on the state of the economy. Now, we've discussed that. I discussed that with you also. I remember a little prior to the budget. Uh, Coronavirus has been something that has catalyzed us to the state where we are. But even before this, as you very correctly said, we were at the hit of a slowdown. It is very apparent it was even getting worse. And now this is going to even worsen the situation. This country already has unemployment at a 45-year high, right? Of course, a large portion of this we can attribute to the economic situation, perhaps even to government policy. But us as citizens, I think, and as you as educationists, one thing that we need to take ownership for is the word employability. We look at employment as opportunities, we look at employment as demand and supply, but how well prepared are we in terms of educating ourselves to be employment? How job friendly are we in our education system? I think this is a very critical, point which you need to address. Not just understanding that we're going to enter a new world, that of course is there, but even when we shift from the old world to the new world, a lot of people are young, they're new, so they will only have the new world as a reference point. What about those people who need to shift? For them, it's first a step of unlearning and then of learning, which is far, far more difficult.
See, the question is very, very important. We talk about employability. There are different facets of employability. Many times, many of our surveys look at only lopsided view of employability because in the universities and colleges, students are prepared for entire life and not for immediate employment alone. And therefore, we must understand that certain basic things which are required for all variety of jobs, whether it is in the government, whether it is in the private sector, whether it is self-employment, whether it is in steel industry or auto industry, or whether it is in IT industry. Certain skill sets are important and common to all of them. That is in terms of communication skills, whether it is in terms of working in teams, leadership qualities, problem solving ability. I think these are all constant and same for all variety of jobs. And therefore, the institutions and colleges should prepare students for dealing with all of these, but not necessarily for a particular type of job. And that is the job that a person, when he takes up the action, that is whether it is in industry or in government, he needs to have some basic training elsewhere in order to prepare himself for that particular job. Because we need to change the jobs also quite often. So the new technologies emerge. So whatever I had learned earlier may have to be changed and I have to learn something new. And therefore, the universities and the colleges in the higher education need to have certain basic common minimum things to be learnt and taught, and then ability to learn by oneself, what is known as lifelong learning, through the tools which are fortunately available today, much more better and easier than in the past during our times. If we had to learn something new on our own, we have to hunt for a right teacher, or we'll have to go to a library, look for an appropriate book, and read on your own. But now this same learning by oneself has become so much easier than by Googling, you will find out a right teacher, right course, right material, and you can be at your home and without going to even the library, one can learn all of these things. And therefore, the way we'll have to adapt ourselves is changing rapidly, and that is what is to be taught when students are there in the colleges and the universities. And that's why this mandatory internship of going outside the college premises, university premises,